Well, it's 2:40 on Saturday, November 20th in the afternoon. Just walking down the K&P Trail south of Orchard Road here. We've just been working in the house for a few hours, cleaning stuff out, getting rid of stuff. We often do the traditional spring cleanings and whatnot, but we've just gotten to the point in our lives where we've decided to really try and make a significant difference in the stuff we're carrying in the house from day to day. So I just went through a bunch of my clothes and got rid of stuff that is either too old and ripped to worry about, or things that don't fit anymore for whatever reason. And we're going to go through other closets and bookcases and garage and everything and just get rid of stuff. There's no doubt that a house that's clean and has far less junk is a lot easier to maintain and deal with. The more added stuff you have, whether it's pure junk or it's simply collected items over the years, it's a lot more difficult to maintain a house that has all that stuff in it. While we'll probably not get it down to a real streamlined fashion, we're going to get rid of a lot of the stuff, hopefully. Take reusable stuff to Goodwill, maybe sell a few things that are more valuable, and then anything that's really garbage, take that to the dump, right? We like to take as little to the dump as possible if things can be reused. Gee, I came down here thinking I might see a bunch of people out walking or cycling. It's 5 degrees. It is cool and windy, but not bad otherwise. And I've seen one guy on a bike so far. Nobody else at all, although I might have seen someone far ahead on a horse, but that also might have been my imagination. Just saw another Bruce spanworm moth fly by. It's amazing how late these little guys are still out flying. I keep thinking each of these days will be the last day I see one, but just saw another one there, and it's like, as I've said, 5 degrees. Although I saw one out yesterday in about 2 degrees, so they're very resilient, these Bruce spanworms. They're a moth you can see in really late fall or real early spring, so they're interesting how they've adapted to the cold temperatures. Anyhow, getting back to the house cleaning aspect, humans, we really are the ultimate pack rat. I mean, nothing in nature, no other species in nature compares to us. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, we live a very artificial lifestyle, but we are collectors extreme. An aspect a lot of people share is a lot of the stuff they have has sentimental meaning to them. And I know from my own perspective, I've got books that are 30, 40, 50 years old, and things out of high school, things out of university, textbooks. I've still got them, and they're going to go, because really, what's the purpose? I'm not going to be applying for any new jobs for almost any type of information I'm seeking nowadays. You can get it on the internet. I'm not looking to do extreme research in any particular topic, so even though if you are, you can still get a lot of that off the internet. So what's the sense really in continuing to carry on with these books on shelves that fill up your house and stuff like that? One of my biggest quandaries is I've done a lot of art over the years, paintings and whatnot of various things. I've got them, a lot of them I've got on shelves down in a storage room, some framed, some unframed, and occasionally I've put them on the internet for sale, or I have sold them at shows in years past, but I haven't been doing many shows of late at all. So I have all these paintings down there, and I don't know what to do with them. They take up a fair amount of area. I had always hoped that other people would eventually get them and they would enjoy them in their own homes. That was my hope. So there they sit on a shelf in our basement, occasionally getting damaged or dented and scratched and that kind of stuff. So, but I don't know what to do with them. I mean, if I want to clear them out, I either burn them or continue to try and sell them on the internet for low prices or whatever. But another one for me are cameras. I've got a pile of old cameras dating back some 50 years probably, or 40 years. And for whatever reason, I just kept them. A lot of them were the old film cameras. Anyhow, they got to go. I've actually always admired the look of those houses when you see them in magazines or wherever, where you go into the kitchen and it's just a glossy granite countertop, just a few silver pans hanging from the ceiling, clean stove and oven, refrigerator, beautiful tile floor, and that's it. Nothing else. Not the hundreds of other artifacts collecting on the countertop and pinned to the refrigerator and sitting on the stove. It just looks so much better, but I realize it's also somewhat artificial, that look. Not too many people, I don't think, maintain homes that immaculate, but it's certainly easier to do if you have less crap. Living on a small hobby farm as we do, we've collected a number of tools over the years, and I like to do some woodworking type stuff, construction projects, so you acquire tools. And now one of our rooms downstairs that wasn't really intended to be that when we designed the house, I guess. It's become a workshop room, which is okay, except it's sort of overflowing with stuff. We also have our main food freezer in that room, and then we have some plant-related stuff. I'm going to unload some of the tools because some of them are things I don't use too often. Anyhow, we'll see how far the decluttering process gets this time. As I mentioned, like everyone, we do it, once a year or something. We try and get rid of junk, spring cleaning or whatever, but it only tackles a certain percentage of the stuff we've got. And I hope this time we're going to do a more significant thinning out, because you get to a point where you're just congested in the house, hard to manage. It makes your whole life more confusing, and you feel less settled, I find, compared to when you go into a simplified room with just a few articles around and the basic stuff you need. Well, just had a nice chat with a fellow riding his bike here on the trail. He had one of the nice giant carbon gravel bikes, so I was talking to him about his bike, and we got talking about a variety of things, and where he came from and how far he's riding, and how he keeps warm on cold days like this and all that kind of stuff. It was interesting, but I've been thinking about getting a gravel bike, but I guess with the topic of this video, I better not do that. I better be thinking about how to get rid of the bikes I've got. After talking to that fellow for 20 minutes or so, I didn't realize how the time was passing. It's about 3:45, and of course these days with daylight saving time having just come in, we're getting dark a lot earlier, so I've still got 50 or so minutes or an hour to get back, so I may be getting back in the dark. Been a few people out here today, a few bikers, a few dog walkers, and a lady on a horse. That's all I've seen. I did see the horse. I wasn't imagining it. She came back the other way towards me eventually, and I talked to her for a couple minutes. She was curious about Zoe and what kind of spaniel she was. And of course, Zoe isn't a spaniel. She's a Gordon Setter. So I had to describe a bit about that. When you think long and hard about this cleaning up the house stuff, you start thinking about just how minimalist you maybe could be. And I wonder what the answer is for most people. I mean, obviously you need food and shelter of some sort. You need clothing, unless you live in the tropics somewhere where you may not even need that. But most of us don't live in the tropics here. But how minimalist do you think you could live? Could you get by with a good shelter of some sort, food, steady supply of decent food, water, obviously, say clothing, and what else would you need for your daily life? A lot of that obviously has to do with your interests, because if that was all you had, for example, you're fairly limited in your abilities to do things. You wouldn't be reading books because you've gotten rid of all those. You wouldn't be watching TV because you don't have one. You wouldn't be doing a lot of the typical things that we do every day. So what would your life be like in that situation? Obviously, a lot to answer that question would depend on where you're living and the situation you're living in. If you're in the city, living in a small apartment, yes, I could see how you could probably get by with the clothes on your back, food and water, and that may be all you need. You got your shelter, so every day you might just go out and enjoy yourself walking around the city, enjoying the sights and sounds, the movies and shows and things. You may not need a lot else, but if at the other extreme almost, you're like us, where you have a hobby farm or something and animals to take care of, then you seem to be looking at a lot more requirements. You need tools and machines of various types to operate the farm. Feed for the animals, feed for pets if you have them. So it just all depends what type of lifestyle you're leading. Yeah, getting dark. It's about 4:45. We're just getting back to Merton Road shortly here. Anyhow, I hope you'll think about decluttering your life too. I assume there's a few people out there watching this that think their life is too cluttered. And if you've already decluttered or just naturally live a clean life, then congratulations to you. But if you're thinking of maybe doing the same thing that we're doing, good luck with it. And I think you'll feel a lot better when you're done. And again, if you have any secrets to give out on the decluttering lifestyle, I'd be happy to hear about it and share it with other viewers. I think it is important in this day and age where we're all leading complicated lives and constantly bombarded with things we supposedly need and more items you need to get every day to be happy, supposedly. And nothing could be further from the truth. So if you've got a lot of extra stuff, get rid of it and make yourself happier.